Right, YouTube, it's Shadow King Nazru, and I'm going to give my review of Justice League, the Snyder Cut version. Now, if you've been with me for a long time, you know I reviewed the original Justice League, and despite popular opinion, I thought it was pretty. I rather enjoyed it. Then again, it's not the first time I've been against popular opinion. I think the Raimi Man movies are fucking garbage. Um, but everyone else thinks they're some kind of work of art. I can't imagine why with all these plot holes, and unlikable characters. But let's not get into that. As like I said, I watched the Snyder Cut last night after getting HBO Max in preparation for also reviewing Godzilla vs. Kong after I watched that. And I figured I'd give this one a shot because, one, I felt Zack Snyder deserved this after his daughter died and he wasn't able to complete his vision. And also, Warner Brothers apparently got Joss Whedon to change things because they wanted to course correct. They wanted to move away from Zack Snyder's vision after the backlash of Batman v Superman. Again, if you've been watching me for a long time, you know I kind of was indifferent towards Batman v Superman. I didn't like it or hate it. I mean, there were some good stuff. I mean, the Ultimate Edition I heard is better. I haven't seen it personally, but I think. But if it was better, maybe I could watch it if it's on HBO Max. But another reason why I felt that I should watch this Justice League Snyder Cut, because I heard there was a lot of cut content, and I just want to go into it. So, all in all, I do think that this is a massive improvement over the original Justice League. Which is, while I admit that I enjoyed Joss Whedon's version, I'll admit that there were some problems. Like, for one, they toned down the humor, and it doesn't feel as awkward and cringy. In Joss Whedon's version, the humor is kind of ill-timed and doesn't fit some of these characters. Like, Batman's cracking jokes like he's supposed to be DC's Iron Man. I mean, Batman does occasionally make jokes, but they're more dry wit, and he does it sparingly. And Barry Allen, aka The Flash, in the Snyder version, is much more tolerable in this version. I'd even say I could actually like this version. As in the Whedon version, he made so many jokes and they were so ill-timed. That part of me felt like the urge to strangle this character just to get him out, just to shut him up. As for like other improvements, we gotta talk about some of the elephants in the room, such as Steppenwolf. Now, personally, I didn't exactly have a problem with Steppenwolf because I knew from the comics and from like the anime series he's not that much of an interesting villain and wasn't that big of important. But here, they do make him more interesting, and I hear a lot of people like this version of Steppenwolf. So I think he'll be remembered better than the one from Joss Whedon. Like, they like his design. They like that he's actually more brutal and intimidating. He's not referring to the mother boxes as mother and all that stuff. Plus, he's also got a sympathetic motivation. He wants to redeem himself in front of Darkseid. Yeah, Darkseid is in this. Big spoilers there, but if you've been paying attention to my channel and to the news, you would know that he's in there. Which we'll get to later. But Steppenwolf apparently, at some point in the past, tried to vie for Darkseid's throne. He failed, and he was on a path towards atonement by conquering 50,000 worlds in Darkseid's name, as well as keeping enemies away from usurping Darkseid. So he feels that if I can conquer Earth, the planet that Darkseid failed to conquer before, then this will prove that I can redeem. I'm worthy to come back home to Apocalypse and join Darkseid's side. We also get to see characters like Desaad. I think we also saw Granny Goodness, but she's just rendered to a cameo. Desaad, we don't get to see him be the torturer that he is in the comics. He's mostly there just to make sure Steppenwolf is keeping to his task, and also chastise him for his mistakes. And as for like I said, for Darkseid, yes, we do get to see him. We got to see his younger self, Oaxis. I'm not sure if this was before. I think this was before he got the Omega effect, which gave him most of his powers. But he's still pretty capable, as he's able to take on a lot of, obviously a lot of men, Amazons, Atlanteans, Green Lanterns, and it took, like, the real powerhouse that was able to stop him was the combined force of Zeus and Ares. So, but that was like a much younger Darkseid. This Darkseid is thousands of years older and more experienced, wiser. So I think if he were to invade again and the situation was similar, he'd do a much better job. But as how Darkseid is portrayed, he's, from the little we've seen him, he does pretty good. You do sense that he has absolute authority, as he should. The people that serve him worship him because Darkseid is a new god. Emphasis on the word god. And they still kept the fact that he's power hungry. He's basically Space Hitler, which is what Jack Kirby basically equated Darkseid, because he based it off Hitler because he's Jewish, and he wanted something to be personified as something that's pure evil. You could just, and they also referenced the anti-life equation. That's one of the factors that's supposed to help Steppenwolf redeem himself, because Earth has the anti-life equation etched into itself. Now, for those who don't know, the anti-life equation is basically a complex equation that's supposed to subjugate the free will of everyone, with maybe like a few exceptions, like such as Static, and because of his electrical powers and how it affects his brain and whatnot. And I also imagine like gods like the Presence, but let's not get into that. It basically allows you to take absolute control over some people. It makes them seem like the only thing worth living for, the only purpose in existence, is to serve whoever has the anti-life equation. And Darkseid wants that because he is tyranny personified. And I'm really glad they did that, because it really does show that Zack Snyder and the people that helped him made this film really do care about the DC universe. They did do some research, and you get to see other kind of things like that. Now, going on to like other characters, I want to talk about like Superman, right? I think one of my one of the complaints that people had against Justice League is that they didn't feel the weight of the loss of Superman. Um, I feel like that is somewhat of a valid point because it was kind of they get cut it by 2 hours, and we didn't get much time towards feeling the weight of the loss of Superman. Here, with the extra 2 hours, it's a 4-hour film. We do get to spend more time with people like Lois and Martha Kent grieving over the death of Superman. You can see all the heroes feel the loss of the civilians, especially the heroes. Superman, I mean, Batman feels like he made this great mistake and it cost him a really good person's life, and he's trying to honor his legacy by creating the Justice League to protect the Earth in Superman's absence. Is this act of atonement, and also it's him developing from where he was from Batman v Superman, where he started to become jaded and close himself off from people. Here, he's starting to open up. He's starting to have more faith, and I feel that's really good development. And when they finally bring back Superman, he's not such as dour as he was in Batman v Superman. They still keep him very hopeful. And there was this one scene, actually after they resurrected him with the mother box. There's this scene where he's back on the Kent farm, and he's waiting. He's talking to Lois about the whole wedding proposal, talking about him coming back, and there's this part where this butterfly is just walking around the crops, and then on his hand, and you see that Superman just lets it be, just continue to walk in his hands, and then fly off. Like, think about that. Superman is one of the most powerful people in the DC universe. He could crush anything he wants on this planet with minimum effort. Could easily do the same thing to this butterfly, and yet just flies it off, just being gentle with it. Now, anybody who says that Zack Snyder does not get Superman, you show them that scene, because that was definitely what Superman would do. We also did get to see the black suit that Superman had in the Death and Return of Superman arc. Though they didn't explain why he puts on that suit. I mean, it's just mostly for fan service. In the comics, it was because Superman, after being resurrected from his fight with Doomsday, his body needed to recover the solar energy that his cells need to give him his powers. He was pretty much in a weakened state, so he needed the black suit to absorb more solar radiation. It would have been nice if they took like a few seconds to explain that. Like maybe have one of the Kryptonian computers explain it. That this suit, that they sense that Superman's body doesn't have as much solar energy as it should, and they suggest that he wears the black suit to absorb more, and that would help against the fight against Steppenwolf. If I were to put a negative towards it, I would say that the fight between when Superman gets involved in the fight with Steppenwolf, he's pretty much overpowering Steppenwolf. I know that they say that Superman was the key to defeating Steppenwolf, and I would totally be behind that. But I think that what should have... what I'm trying to say is that when Superman gets involved in the fight, it really undercuts it because he treats Steppenwolf more like a pushover. And he kind of looks like that way. That was exactly the same problem it was in the just Joss Whedon version, but it was much worse there. I feel like if we still kept the Superman was weakened from being resurrected and still needed to get his strength back, They kept that, and Superman fought Steppenwolf in a weakened state. The fight would have been a bit more balanced, and we could still keep the threat of Steppenwolf. And then Superman slowly gets the energy back, and once he's got his normal amount of solar energy, that's when Superman starts to own him, and we can carry on. But all in all, I do think that they did Superman justice this time. It was really great to see Henry Cavill return as Superman. It would be great if we get to see a sequel to a direct, actual, true sequel to his Superman story. But unfortunately, I've heard news that Warner Brothers is collaborating with Jar Jar Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Notes, I believe that's what it is. Ta-Nehisi Coates. Yeah, Ta-Nehisi Coates on rebooting Superman and casting Michael B. Jordan as Superman, so they're going with Bazel or something. It's really stupid. I mean, Henry Cavill you can still tell some good stories with that Superman. And Jar Jar Abrams is not a good director. I mean, he doesn't. Most of his movies are either mediocre at best or awful. And Ta-Nehisi Coates, I've heard he has some really questionable political views, which I don't really want to get into. But talking about black superheroes is a nice transition towards talking about Cyborg. Now, Cyborg was again a massive improvement. Cyborg was kind of glossed over in the original Joss Whedon version. They just kind of he's just there for the plot, and they kind of gloss over his backstory. But you don't feel like he's much of a character. You do really feel like he goes through much of art. Here, he's a character. He goes through an arc. He has his backstory covered, and he is much like Ray Fisher and Zack Snyder said. He is basically the heart of the Justice League movie. They cover how he used to be a smart kid, really athletic. Did some questionable things like hack into his school system to help a friend's grades, but you can see that he had some good intentions, so he was a good person. They covered the car accident that caused him to become a cyborg with. That's pretty much what modern versions of the comic interpretation of Cyborg did. Even though originally it had something to do with a gang and there was an accident, and his father had to use his own advanced technology to rebuild his body. Whereas here, the technology that makes Cyborg comes from the Mother Box, so it's the technology coming from Apocalypse and New Genesis, which is, just think of New Genesis as the heaven to Apocalypse's hell, even though heaven and hell both exist in the DC universe as well, but that's another tangent. It seems that they went with the whole New 52 inspiration for how Cyborg got his powers, where the technology came from Apocalypse and the Mother Box, which is serviceable for this rendition, and it also helps establish what Star Labs is doing, because we established Star Labs in Man of Steel, and it's expanding upon that. What I really like about these Snyder cuts is that it feels very consistent. You really feel that there's a direction, which some of these DC movies kind of feel like they really aren't going in a clear direction. But going back to to Cyborg, we still get the whole him being jaded towards his father for making him a cyborg. He kind of feels like Frankenstein's monster, and yes, I Yes, I did say that correctly. It's Frankenstein's monster. Victor Frankenstein was the creator, and not a doctor, college dropout. For all you people who haven't read the book, but yeah, he does feel jaded towards his father for the accident, and he feels like he just treated him more like an experiment rather than a son. He'd rather be dead. He doesn't feel like he could socialize with people, like he can't have a normal life like he had before, and he closes himself off. And it's slowly, as the film continues to progress, he slowly starts to form connections with the Justice League members. He starts to real as he's going through the mission to stop Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf kidnapped Cyborg's father because he's been working on the mother box and he's been near it and he would know his location. Cyborg personally goes to save him because despite their grievances, he still does care about his father, and he knows that deep down his father still loves him. So they just gotta basically trust each other and reconcile, which really hurts him in the latter half of the movie. Which spoiler, unlike the Joss Whedon version, they kill Cyborg's dad. And it's not just for shock value like you would just see in like something like The Last Jedi or whatever. This actually does serve a narrative purpose, as it not only helps the Justice League track the heat signature that was used by Victor's father as laser when he shot it at the mother box to create a strong heat signature so the Justice League could track it down, but it also makes Cyborg reflect how he's been treating his father and how he's been treating other people. He needs to realize that despite how he is now, he can still have a life. He can still have people that care about him, and even though his mother and father are gone, he can still have somewhat of a family. And I hope this is something that gets built on in a possible Teen Titans movie, where he starts to form relationships with them and decides to leave the Justice League for a time to just join Teen Titans. Of course, they would have to set some things up before they go into Teen Titans. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is mostly the same as she was in the movie, except they cut out the bickering between her and Batman. I'm glad they did that. I felt that was kind of annoying. She still goes through most of the sequences, but I will admit that Wonder Woman is much more brutal than she is in the Joss Whedon version, which makes sense. This is a rated R film, whereas the Whedon version was PG-13. And we really get to see her throwing criminals hard on the ground. We see her cutting people. Even spoiler, she when they finish off Steppenwolf, she's the one to deliver the killing blow. Sorry about that. Wonder Woman's the one to deliver the killing blow by cutting off Steppenwolf's head right before it goes into the boom tube leading to Apocalypse, and Darkseid just crushes Steppenwolf's head with his foot. Now, a lot of people are going to have like mixed feelings on how brutal Wonder Woman is. Like, people who like her from the New 52 might be into this, because New 52 Wonder Woman can be rather brutal, and she does kill every now and again. Whereas like pre-New 52 Wonder Woman, I think I'm going to have some reservation about this, because they're more used to a Wonder Woman who kills as a last resort and tries to like save lives more. Like I said, I'm okay with it. I mean, Wonder Woman is an Amazon. She would uh, feel that killing is necessary for those who deserve it, like those terrorists that were going to kill children and other people in the bank, and for the parademons and Steppenwolf. Um, as for, I believe, Aquaman, if I were to say that any of the Justice League members got the shaft, I would say it was Aquaman. He really didn't get much development. It's not much changed. I mean, it's basically just he's reluctant to join the Justice League because he doesn't want to get involved in things that he doesn't feel like he should be. Doesn't want to help the Atlanteans because he felt his mother abandoned him. Though he kind of later learns that wasn't the case. Though that was more expanded upon in the Aquaman movie, and it's just more about him just to finally joining the Justice League. Though there was one bit, I don't remember if that was in the Joss Whedon version, but there was. No, it wouldn't be in the Joss Whedon version because Cyborg's dad was still alive. What happens is that Aquaman talks to Flash, and he realized that since Cyborg lost a father much like he had, he can kind of empathize with him. I mean, it's a small thing, but I did enjoy it. It really does show that he is starting to relate to the other Justice League members, and it will draw him closer to them in the future. What's there other things to... Oh yeah. Now, this is going to be like a big spoiler, but I've already gave spoiler warning, so if you're hearing, you're all in. They introduced Martian Manhunter. I think that... I'm not sure if it's going to be in a future film. If they continue around, if they decide to continue with Snyder's vision, and maybe we could see some movies featuring the Martian Manhunter, maybe go over his origin story and whatnot. But as for how I feel like Martian Manhunter, it's nice to see that he exists. It would have been also nice if he could have helped the Justice League against the fight against Steppenwolf. Though considering that Martian Manhunter is almost as powerful as Superman, maybe that would have kind of been overkill. And it turns out that Martian Manhunter was the general, I believe he was, General Colonel. Remember that black guy from Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, who at first had reservations about Superman, but then kind of later began to trust him, and also he helped get the files Lois needed to prove that Lex Luthor was doing some bad things. It was that guy who was Martian Manhunter. I mean, but our first introduction to him, I do have a problem with that. They introduced it by him disguising himself as Martha Kent, and he was talking to Lois about saying that yes, it's okay to grieve for Superman, but you gotta live your life. You gotta get back to where you gotta move on. I feel like that was not a good thing to do for Zack Snyder. It was a strong scene when we thought that it was just Martha Kent and Lois both accepting that they lost Superman. Lois lost a lover. Martha lost an adopted son. But they can't let their grief keep them from living their lives. That would have been a stronger scene if that was actually the actual Martha. But as it is, I appreciate the Martian Manhunter helping Lois, but they don't really have that much of a connection, so it seems a little bit arbitrary. I feel like there should have been a better way to introduce him, and they just kept that scene with Martha. Uh, as for like other things, that other notable things, they, I mean, when they handle the mother boxes, they still haven't talked about like the source, like where they came from, because the source is the one of the greatest powers in the universe and has a connection to God. It is a lot of, I mean, it's even considered that the source is considered an aspect of God. Um, I'm hoping that they explore that in a potential new Gods movie. Explain what the mother, I mean, the source of the source and the mother box. Explain that there's other mother boxes. And we can see more what they're capable of besides destruction and regeneration of other things. Let's see what we also. Oh yeah, we also got to see, like much like in the original version of Justice League, Lex Luthor was broken out of prison, and he's hired Deathstroke. He's played by the guy who played Alcide in True Blood. And as opposed to the Whedon version, where they were setting up uh, Lex Luthor and Deathstroke creating the Legion of Doom as a response against the Justice League. What they built up was Lex Luthor saying that Bruce Wayne is Batman and tells him to Deathstroke. So Deathstroke is going to be fighting Batman. Now, I believe that was supposed to set up Ben Affleck's Batman movie. Although, again, since I'm not sure if they're going to continue with Snyder's vision for the DC Universe, I'm not sure we're ever going to get a follow-up on that. But if we do, that would be nice, because Batman vs. Deathstroke would make a good, interesting movie. But we are also getting the Robert Pattison Batman, which is going to be more focused on Riddler, along with some other Rogue members, but I think the main focus will be on Riddler. I mean, that's also another movie I'm interested in seeing. So we'll have to see how they reconcile that. I mean, what they really need to do is actually beat Marvel to the punch and establish the multiverse. Or even if they don't beat Marvel to it, they do need to establish a multiverse. That way, we can have whatever Warner Brothers is trying to do with DC and what Zack Snyder wants to do with DC, and conclude that. And once Zack Snyder's complete his full story for Justice League, then we can put that to rest and Warner Brothers can do their thing. Let's see, and I suppose I should also talk about the nightmare scene. That was in the epilogue. So it still seems like the vision where Darkseid takes over the Earth and Superman's made evil. I'm assuming through the anti-life equation and a mix of Lois being dead. The world's gone to crap. And Batman's pretty much created a ragtag team with Flash, Cyborg, Deathstroke, and Mara. Amber Heard is still Mara, despite her being an awful person and a horrible ex-wife to Johnny Depp. But yeah, she's still there. And we also get to see Batman was trying to recruit the Joker, who's played by Jared Leto. And the way Jared Leto handles the Joker as opposed to he did the Suicide Squad, he does a much better job. This Joker is creepy. He's not afraid to poke holes in Batman's emotional issues, how he killed. He's not afraid to bring up how he killed Robin, and he questions how Batman can keep his will and his morals, or what's left of them, before he finally just gives up and becomes numb to this new world. That feels something Joker would do, and that's really great. He still hasn't made a full great Joker laugh like you see from like Mark Hamill or Heath Ledger or Troy Baker. So I think that still needs work, but all in all, I do think this is a massive improvement of that Joker. And a lot of people, from what I've seen, a lot of people agree that the Zack Snyder version of Justice League did redeem Jared Leto's Joker. And if nothing else, we gotta thank them for that. So, this is going on for about 40 minutes. I mean, almost 40 minutes. All in all, I did really enjoy the Justice League Snyder cut. It still kept the overall story, but just expand upon the balance of things, create some characters, did branch out for some future plot points that could be explored by Warner Brothers if they're willing to work with Zack Snyder towards this. It would be a great experience. Now, do I think Justice League 2 should be 4 hours? That might be pushing anything. What I think they should do now is actually just start setting up the seeds for whatever Justice League 2 needs to be. Whether they build to the Legion of Doom, or they build to to Darkseid actually coming to Earth and invading. What they need to do is do what Marvel does, make those solo movies, get whatever you need to tell in those movies out of the way, so you can tell the actual story that needs to be told for Justice League 2. I feel like Warner Brothers should learn this lesson, as Phase 1 of the DC cinematic universe had its issues, but I did enjoy the story nonetheless. So those were all my thoughts on Justice League the Snyder Cut. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy it? Do you still don't like it? Do you think it was a massive improvement? Well, what of the new stuff did you think was exciting? Do you think they should explore these in future films? You guys let me know in the comments down below. And if you excuse me, I'm gonna go watch Godzilla vs. Kong, and I know that's gonna be some good stuff for me. I'll catch you mortals later.